Hey guys, it's Matt. As usual, I go to sit down to make a very serious presentation, and it almost immediately turns into making fun of presentation or having fun with presentation. This is on Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of eternal return or eternal recurrence, which I read about not too long ago, and then it popped up again, and it popped up again, and I thought, okay, let's just talk this out, but in a completely different way, of course. You can research Friedrich Nietzsche's eternal return on different parts of the internet. You're going to get the same boring mumbo jumbo every time. And look at that mustache, just to start. Oh, by the way, it's his theory on death about we just do the same thing over and over again for all eternity. It's a very refreshing and a very exciting view on death. It's very depressing. Probably came up with it right before the syphilis took over. But look at that mustache. He's not the only one in the world to carry that mustache. That was not that bad, but it was popular for a while. I mean, my uncle actually carries a mustache now that hangs over his lip. But ladies, could you think of, I mean, does he expect a kiss from a woman? I mean, think of kissing a man where just a rat. And now, if a beard, I don't know, is a little bit different. A beard's different. Men's have full beard, but you can kind of shave around the lips. This is a gigantic rat that hangs over the lips. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to the more serious part. One of Nietzsche's most famous things, "Thus spake Zarathustra." Nietzsche was weird, brilliant, but all the three-legged stool of Nietzsche, brilliant, of course. Who am I to say Nietzsche wasn't brilliant? Weird as shit and arrogant as shit. This is the third leg of the stool with Nietzsche. One of the most arrogant individuals maybe in the history of the world. Literally believed single-handedly he was going to take down Christianity and the church. Single-handedly believed his writings would just completely transform the world. And just couldn't understand where I think his first few works, like nobody, he was printing it himself. It's kind of like you, Matt. Nobody was reading them. Nobody was passing them around. He was trying to get close to certain aspects of, famous people and celebrity of his time, I guess, to promote himself to a degree, like Wagner. This is Richard Wagner, who in the movie Valkyrie with Tom Cruise, Hitler was quoted. Hitler, you know him. Hitler in the movie Valkyrie with Tom Cruise quoted to Tom Cruise with the patch over his eye, "One does not know National Socialism until one understands Wagner." This is the same Wagner that Nietzsche was kind of worshiping, trying to get close to. And at one point, Wagner, about one of the works that Nietzsche sent him, says, quote, "I have done him the kindness of not reading his book, and my greatest wish and hope is that one day he will thank me for it." That's nice, Richard. I sent my book to Al Gore. He sent it back to me with a white t-shirt with yellow pit-stained underarms. And guys, if you can't see this, I'll read you the whole passage here in just a moment. Of all of Nietzsche's works, this is the most famous introduction to his theory on death or theory on the afterlife, eternal return, also called eternal recurrence. And if this doesn't get you to leap out of bed in the morning with a big fat smile on your face, I don't know what will. As you're sitting in the DMV and you're like, it's like been 4 hours, you're like, you don't have this piece of paperwork, you don't have that paperwork. You can then think, according to Nietzsche, you'll be doing this 4 or 5 more trillion times. In fact, it's infinite. You'll be in the DMV forever. Let me just read you his really strange theory on death. Quote, "What if a demon were to creep after you one day or night in your loneliest loneness and say, 'This life which you live and have lived must be lived again by you innumerable times more, and mere will be nothing new in it.'" That's what it says. And MER, who taught this guy to write? "And mere will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and every sigh, everything unspeakably small and great in your life must come again to you, and in the same sequence and series." That's the key. In the same sequence and series, it's all going to come again. Identical. Even this spider and this moonlight between the trees, even this moment and I myself, the eternal hourglass will again and again be turned, and with you and you with it. Dust of dust. Would you not throw yourself down and curse the demon who spoke to you thus? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment in which you would answer him, "Thou art a god, and never have I heard anything more divine"? Now, it goes without saying this is the very opposite of a Christian philosophy. And is this why Nietzsche promoted it? I mean, maybe Nietzsche was more into trying to bring down the church than actually telling you what he really believes death could be about. Christian it's a one and done, this life, heaven and hell, consequence based on this life. Nietzsche's presentation is just the opposite. It's not one and done in terms of life. It's not even 400 trillion lives and done. It just goes on and on and on like the never-ending story and my cousin singing the song that never ends. It just goes on and on and on. Something that's somewhat interesting here is at first it's presented like a hellish sentence. A demon were to tell you what your predicament is, and the life goes on, and the circumstances repeat. Every bead of sweat that you ever put out at a certain time would repeat over and over. But the bottom is somewhat interesting because, like, some people might actually like this. Most people are going to think it's a demon passing a curse along to them. But it's like, or have you once experienced a tremendous moment in which you would answer him back, "Oh, I'm so happy that you told me I get to do this 400 trillion more times." So he's postulating, if that's even a word, that based on a moment, a special moment, you'd want to just repeat life over and over again. I mean, could my father come forth and say, "Do I get to play basketball and baseball again at Abington High School and have scouts in baseball look at my pitching arm?" Yes? Oh, then I'll take the eternal return. Maybe that's kind of what he's saying here, I think, Nietzsche, although most of us would consider it, throughout literary history. I don't read much. I don't read too good. But the theme does repeat that eternal life turns out to be a hell sentence. But at the same time, there's the repeating theme of trying to find the fountain of youth and trying to find never-ending eternal youth. So what is it? Is it a hell sentence? In some literature it is. But then why are the folly of trying to find it? And we're not trying to find it. But I guess Ray Kurzweil is going to offer it up on the back of his cereal box soon to people that want to jump into the computers. Now, as hellish as this concept seems initially, especially to people like us, there are people that interpret Nietzsche's other writings where he opens it up a little bit and makes it a little bit more positive. This is my best interpretation of where Nietzsche goes with this. I didn't spend weeks and weeks locked away in the Library of Congress, locked away like John Nash looking for his one original idea. This is my interpretation, that it seems like a hell sentence, do the same exact thing over and over, but he does open up some wiggle room around the now moment, saying like, is this said directly by Nietzsche in a work? I don't know, but my interpretation is, well, if there is some sort of free will, so if you just go through the motions in life, it will repeat over and over and over, according to Nietzsche, trillions of times. But if you completely change what you're doing on that day, or I remember Ben at Vat City saying he will always try to change up his day. If he's supposed to drive down the Schuylkill Expressway and he has time to just get off and go down Route 30, he's going to change it up as much as possible. If you can change things up, then you can kind of move. It's like Dr. Soren in the Star Trek movie blowing up planetary systems to move the nexus ever so slowly. And if Nietzsche would probably say, well, if these lifetimes repeat over and over an infinite number of times or trillions of times, well, work to make changes in the now moment, it might have a small effect on your, quote, next life. Again, according to Nietzsche, I don't have these beliefs. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I don't need to say that again. It's all according to Nietzsche. Then you can make a little bit of ripple in the next life. So at first it seems like just do the same thing all over and over again. Nothing will ever change and no free will. And then I think Nietzsche opens the door to making drastic changes in the now moment can ripple into the next lives. But nevertheless, it will keep going like the song that never ends over and over again. But again, that concept in the beginning, it's very interesting, to have that that one shining moment. That's the song they sing at the end of the NCAA basketball tournament. They used to. For 25 years, they played the one shining moment video. And if you sink that last second shot and you win that NCAA tournament and you have that one shining moment in life, it's interesting what Nietzsche floats here. Would anybody be willing to repeat all the other trauma and pain and loss and strife of their lives for a chance to experience that one shining moment over and over again? I don't think too many people listening to the sound of my voice would be too interested in that, but at least it presents that aspect of it. And the first thing that popped in my head was like, when I've said this many times recently, I told my dad about reincarnation. He's like, he got excited because he might be able to come back and play high school football. Not football, he quit that, but great high school basketball and baseball player. Build an eternal return might be very, very positive to him or to anybody that fears non-existence. To anybody that has a total fear of death, that has no religion, that has no sense of spiritual self, if you could convince them of this, they'll be like, wow, this is great, because a non-existence is much worse. At least I can come back over and over again and experience the same, I got jerked off behind the high school once. I got that to look forward to. I didn't, but this in this example. Oh no, not again. If you're just listening, guys, I'm showing a picture of young Friedrich, 20 years old or so, with the hidden hand, posing for a picture, hidden hand in the jacket. And this is one just like the Eye of Providence, guys. You look it up, you do research through mainstream sources as to why they all did this, and you find a whole range of bullshit, whole variety of bullshit. But it doesn't necessarily mean every time they did it, they were all in the same secret society either. It's just something that if you use mainstream sources to research, you just get a bunch of bullshit, like Columbia, like the Eye of Providence, etc. So you didn't think I was going to make this presentation and not have any conspiracy associated with it. That's kind of what we do here. Conspiracy, at least in this sense, going in places that my Tony or the people in our lives would think we're crazy for going there, and we are going to go there because that's typically how life works. So you have to consider, is Nietzsche, the hardcore conspiracy person would say, is Nietzsche even real? Is this some sort of figure implanted? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to take it off the table or anything, but I'm not going to go there. It wasn't that long ago. He died in 1900. Life is probably completely verifiable. But in terms of the way, is this a Humpty Dumpty in some way? How Nietzsche is carried through the system with such fame. Even, Akeem even quotes Nietzsche in Coming to America to impress Lisa. I have a date with Lisa tonight. He says, that is not mine. That is Nietzsche. Well, that's what I'm saying. A bunch of goat herders don't go around quoting Nietzsche. It's introduced constantly. Well, not so much recently, but is Nietzsche used by this system to bring down, in a way, to take shots at the church or for whatever it may be? We always have to keep that on the table to introduce horrific concepts like eternal return and eternal recurrence. So a lot of people reading it might start thinking along those lines and say, wow, maybe what you get at death is what you expect to get is what you get. For example, a lot of smart people believe that what you expect going into the moment of death is what you get. And, is that part of what is going on here? And there's all sorts of narratives that you can almost say, at least if you're interested in the things that we're interested in, how Nietzsche would be used by this system, where, if the same themes over and over again, Hitler in the Third Reich was very influenced by Nietzsche, but they didn't know, and it's covered up, that they didn't know that Nietzsche was very upset at his sister for being anti-Semitic. He was not in any way anti-Semitic, but the history carried forth by the Third Reich and the Nazis, they don't say anything about that, and they pushed the parts of Nietzsche that they want to push forth. So, in the end of the day, does that mean Nietzsche was in on anything? No. this system we live in, this not nilk screen system, if somebody is very brilliant over here and they like some of the things that person is saying, they will bring those ideas to the forefront. And someone will say, well, Matt, Nietzsche spent the first 20 years, nobody even read his book. Like we said, Wagner said the best gift I could ever give this poor son of a bitch is not to read his book. And nobody was reading his shit. Well, maybe after the fact, the system said, with this guy Nietzsche, we can use this stuff. Let's get him famous, at least a little bit of famous, towards the end of his life. And it's kind of the same theme with a lot of these guys. He went crazy over a 10-year period. He didn't cut off his ear, but was it syphilis because he visited a brothel, and it's all those types of rumors surround this guy, as well as those types of rumors surround, a lot of people that history says are geniuses. It's almost like reality telling us that genius is extremely close to insanity. They're just 1 degree away from each other. And from the perspective of those on the ship of fools, they're the most sane because they're the farthest from genius. I mean, they have a whole way to go. People that sit down, pile up their popcorn and drinks and get ready for Housewives of Atlanta, they have just leaps and bounds to go if they ever to reach genius. They never can reach genius. But they're also leaps and bounds away from what society would ever consider insane. They'll go to their graves with everybody considering them and they considering themselves to be normal. But we consider anybody that would actually sit down and watch Housewives of Atlanta to be severely abnormal or insane. But that's only from our perspective, from standing up on the shore, which is a very limited perspective and an outcast perspective in this reality. More evidence that Nietzsche is being used by this reality to do something for it. Whether Nietzsche's in on it or not, it doesn't matter anymore who's in on it. People are used by this reality, I have no other way to say it, to do something that it wants. So just the whole story around when he came up with eternal recurrence it's artificial to me. The story is Nietzsche describes this pyramid, a pyramid rock. I don't know what country this is. I'll maybe look it up later. And he just got this notion that we do this over and over again, but he's associating that right after seeing this pyramid rock. I guess if you can't see it, they've actually put a little plaque on it. I guess if you go visit the damn thing, you could let your little kids climb up on the pyramid rock where Nietzsche came up with the idea of eternal recurrence. It's artificial. Do you have to write it? If I come up with the idea of eternal recurrence and I'm a writer, do I have to say, or was it so important that rock influenced me? And then, of course, in some way it's related to the shape and the shape that they talk about as a pyramid. There's no doubt. Whether Nietzsche's in on it or not, that's all part of the story and can help us interpret what's really going on here in ways that the average asshole in the ship of fools can't. Okay, this is Lake Silvaplana in Switzerland, where Nietzsche came upon the pyramid rock, came up with the idea of eternal recurrence, repeating lives for infinitely. Some of these people were probably in the last segment throwing their rubber ducky against the wall, like, you don't even know he's German, it's Germany. He traveled a lot. I know he traveled a lot. Lake Silvaplana could be anywhere. It could be Yonkers, New York. I had to check it out. It's not necessarily Germany. He actually traveled. Get in the back of the Amish classroom, put the dunce hat on. Okay, if you really want to be depressed, read Arthur Schopenhauer. That's this ghoul here, Arthur Schopenhauer, but never do it in a bathtub. You'll look for sharp objects, seriously. So Schopenhauer, I don't know, 30, 40 years older than Nietzsche, a huge influence on Nietzsche. Immanuel Kant, a huge influence on Schopenhauer. Depressing as all hell. But one thing is interesting. It's a Kant and Schopenhauer philosophy, something we're very interested in and things we look at in the things we study. It says, for Schopenhauer and his great predecessor Kant, there's a fundamental difference or distinction between the world as it appears, phenomena, and the world as it truly is, noumena, Noumena, phenomena, and noumena, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The world as it appears, the world as it truly is, All appearances are mere physical manifestations of an underlying reality, for which Schopenhauer is called the will. Basically, that the five senses, so the senses are completely limiting, and we have no clear picture as to what the true underlying reality is like. We take this, in our circles, we've taken this a degree further, where we postulate, if that's a word, do our senses take in a reality that is not even the same reality as what those on the ship of fools take in? That's why we appear insane from their perspective. This is where you get into the reality overlay and all this complicated stuff. But overall, if you read this Ghoul in the Bathtub, it is depressing as I haven't read that much of it. I ain't going to read no more Schopenhauer. I ain't going to read none of it. Nietzsche's internal recurrence. Maybe that's what it is. That's a Freudian. Nietzsche's eternal recurrence or eternal return is highly associated, here we go again, with the Ouroboros. And just what we need, another another possible interpretation of the Ouroboros. And anybody's throwing their rubber ducky. There's a lot of know-it-alls in this community, and they're going to tell me exactly what the Ouroboros means. Matt, don't you know? They're going to tell me exactly what as above, so below means. No, there are multiple interpretations. Many or most are valid. There is no one answer, especially for things of the highest level of importance, like what's on the back of the dollar bill, as above, so below, the Ouroboros. There is no one exact definition, and it really means, in the end of the day, is what it means to you. What is the chalice? Not the chalice. What is the Holy Grail? It's not a chalice. As CIA said, not a missile. It's not a chalice. What does the Grail mean to you? And anybody throwing the rubber ducky, I can hear you. Well, Matt, isn't that highly convenient? You don't know. You don't know shit. So you just come up with the same speech that it has multiple interpretations. Believe what you want. These symbols, sayings at the highest, presented at the highest level of reality, you almost always have multiple interpretations, even the yin-yang. And don't ever just go find what somebody's saying about it. Remember what we talked about a video or two back. What does it mean to you? If you just, again, want to just say that that's my way out because I don't know what these mean. No, I truly believe there are always multiple interpretations of these symbols and sayings like as above, so below at the highest level. They come through individuals, but they come from reality itself. The emerald green maybe is trying to be hijacked by the creeps, but it comes from reality itself. That's why, this existence is wondrous and very positive because real people like me and you are surrounded by clues and little pieces of evidence here and there all over the place that tells us about ourselves. So I don't buy these Schopenhauer and these negative positions and Nietzsche's eternal return and all of that. Every day we have synchronicities and coincidences and things in this reality that remind us so we remember who we truly are. If it's just, you want to just think it's me because I don't know exactly what as above, so below means, well, go crawl back under your bridge and wait for the next carriage and you can jump out and scare them. Okay, why does the system love these philosophers? Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, Kant, etc., etc. In school, we read On Happiness by Plato. Then we read On Liberty, on this, on that, on a waterbed. It just, all this stuff. Here's why. All these ponderers, to me, are an anathema to the half page. It's breaking through to understand, in my opinion, all of reality existence is a half page. Matt, when are you going to present the actual half page? Okay, pretty soon. I always do a part of it and then expand upon it. But Nietzsche's ponderings, it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you to that last segment where you realize the immortal nature of who you are, that this is a temporary existence. This is just a half page. All these people are a distraction or an anathema to the half page. Ponderings, endless ponderings. And yes, it's brilliant, but where does it get you? Quote, causality, Nietzsche, causality is a useful human tool for picturing the process of events, but nothing more. Oh, let's spend a whole semester analyzing that. Well, where does it get you? Nowhere. Quote, cause and effect probably never occurs. In reality, there stands before us a continuum of which we isolate a couple of pieces. We do not see cause, we infer it. Oh my God, the hairs are standing up on the back of my neck. That's so brilliant. It is. We could do a whole semester on that. Where does it get you? Nowhere. Nowhere. Okay, Akeem used it to get Lisa into bed. That is not mine. That is Nietzsche. Ooh, you can quote Nietzsche. You ain't no regular goat herder, huh, honey? It doesn't get you anywhere. Look at this bullshit. Thoughts are the shadows of our sensations, always darker, emptier, simpler than these. What? If Nietzsche, if you know we have the shadow self that this world wants to bring to the forefront, hide you from your true nature and immortal nature, just say it. Stop beating around the bush with all this bullshit. I know you gotta print books and you gotta sell books, but you're wasting my time. So for the biggest of issues, Nietzsche, Friedrich, the nature of man, the nature of all existence, I'm supposed to take your word for it because you got it all figured out. You're just an anathema to the church. And okay, but you're a guy that can't even trim his own mustache. I can guarantee there's food particles in there from 3 or 4 Thanksgivings ago, literally like a piece of dark meat. You can't trim your own mustache where it's not only a rat, it's a health hazard, yet I'm supposed to bow down to what you say about the nature of existence and the nature of man. You see how incongruent that is? Then one thing does not go with the other? I don't think so. And to finish up on eternal return, maybe I didn't get to where Nietzsche came up with that. I couldn't find anything. Again, I didn't spend weeks sleeping inside the Library of Congress, but it's like regarding eternal return and something that profound, I mean, putting it forth and scaring your fellow man, reading your stuff because you're so brilliant. And boy, if Nietzsche's saying this, maybe we do repeat trillions and trillions and trillions of times, and it's just forever and ever. It's the same damn life and the same damn existence. Where'd you come up with this, Nietzsche? You know, is it like Scrooge? Did you have a bit of bad beef or a wilted carrot, and then you had a hallucination? I couldn't find. Did I research it forever? No, but I couldn't find. Where'd you come up with this? You're walking by a pyramid rock, and then all of a sudden you had this notion. Well, why should I believe it? Based on what? Based on what? Well, Matt, why should I believe your half-page bullshit? If nothing else, because it makes sense to your inner knowing. I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm here to just remind you of what you already know. That's how the whole truth process should work. I need to go out to this channel and they can teach me. No, go to a bunch of channels and see if it's reminding you of what you already know. Plus, the whole reality just gives clues, constant clues and all sorts of art, media, of clues of to your true immortal nature and what you really are. While it has to do that per the contractual rules here, but all the creeps and the whole 6 systems are always trying to get you to forget who you really are and go more down the left-hand side of that sliding scale where everything is real and everything is physical, and then you worry and stress. And I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. It's a half page. And to me, all Nietzsche is and these guys, it's cocktail party knowledge, which is useless. Cocktail party knowledge. Akeem used it for his own benefit, but it doesn't get you anywhere, this endless pondering. The only thing that gets you anywhere is to come to grips with what you believe your true nature is at the moment of death or after this life. You know, Christians, but I'm not Christian, but they have it figured out. It's not this Nietzsche endless pondering. It's like, okay, they say I don't want to speak for you, but I'm here to serve God and accept Jesus. And then there's a reward for me at death or whatever. At least that gets right to the chase, where this stuff is just endless rabbit holes. And what word am I looking for? Hamster wheels. It's hamster wheels. And what reward do you get if you can even figure out this shit? You jump off the hamster wheel. You say, I finally figured out Schopenhauer. You know what you get? An enema, like they gave to the crew of in Armageddon and Bruce Willis before they went up and tried to blow up that rock. Thanks for listening. Dude, wax that damn thing.